amazing alone times with God. Journaling out things, or verses would just pop out at me, and I would be like so encouraged. But in that time, I also didn't understand what my soul was, who I was personally, all this stuff. And I didn't understand like my body needs as well. And so for me, soul would be like my love language. Like, what's your love language? Like, I actually can't think of the 5 of them right now off the top of my head. Touch.
Words of affirmation.
Words of affirmations, thank you. Gifts, service. Quality time, thank you. So I went after the whole spirit thing and learning just like how I connected with God, how I heard his voice, all this stuff. In the last year or two, I went through I feel like I kind of just went through like a soul phase where it was like I learned my love language is words of affirmation, and I learned that I learned how I connect with people, like when I need people around me, when I need alone time, and when I need situations I should not be in, situations that really inspired me, and I was like, came away like super refreshed, and also just like learning about my personality, like what keeps me motivated, what are my passions, like what I want to do with my life, all this stuff. It's been like absolutely incredible. And part of the soul thing for me is, I wrote about this a while ago. I couldn't find it, so I guess I'll just kind of like say it off the top of my head. But about environment, and just that you are in charge of your environment. So all around you, soul, spirit, body, all of that, you're in charge of your environment. You create what grows in your environment, kind of like what Ronnie was sharing today, like the seeds that you plant. Like you are a creator, and you create what you let in, you create what you nurture, you create, I just lost the word, what grows, what blooms, all that stuff, and is your environment. And I learned a lot about that with my soul needs, just like you can say no to stuff. Like I feel like growing up is always like, well, you have to serve this person, or you have to do this. And a lot of the soul needs that I figured out for myself is boundaries. Like, you know what, I was busy these 2 nights, and these people, like, it would be an awesome opportunity for me to really like hang out with these people and witness to them or whatever. And you'd be like, you know what, I'm going to be drained if I do that. I can say no. I feel like so often you're like, oh, I'm going to hurt someone's feelings if I say no, or just, but if you're already drained, being around them, it's actually worse for everyone involved because you're not going to be able to give them your full attention. Anyway, so they're just some of the soul things that I've learned in the last year or two. Anyway, so this year, we'll see what happens. I'm like super focused on the whole body aspect of it. I've never been one for like, going and working out and doing all these things. I don't like that. But I'm like vitamins here and there, whatever. And then, anyway, so I really wanted to do like this clean eating thing this month. It's going okay. We've actually did pretty good at it so far. I feel like so. Anyway, but this year I was like, you know what?
Boiled eggs.
Yeah, boiled eggs. Anyway, so this year I was like, I've never actually just sat down and been like, okay, like, when my body gets tired, like what is actually going on? And like when I feel achy or like in pain in my back or whatever. Anyway, so this year I was like thinking about I might go to a chiropractor eventually. I'm not there yet. Still makes me a little nervous. Anyway, and just really focusing on like, you know what, when my body is actually in good health, like when I actually have strength in my body from working out or taking vitamins or even just going for a walk sometime during the day, like it actually feeds your spirit and your soul, and you can actually feel your whole body just like being regenerated. Is that the word? What? Refresh. That's it. Yeah, refresh. Anyway, and it's all connected. And I think it's really awesome how we focus on one thing specifically at a time. I feel like it scares some people, like you're like, oh, well, they're all about spirit, or they're all about body, or they're all about soul, and they don't have any balance. And I think it's kind of awesome sometimes because it comes, like, as you were like, wow, I'm like, some people are all about exercise and all this stuff, and I'm like, that is amazing because they're learning how to take care of their body. And as they do that, and they tune into what God is saying, He's actually going to bring around, like, you know what, your body is good, now you need to focus on your soul. What does your soul need? And then your spirit also. And sometimes, I mean, vice versa as well. And if you keep an open heart and mind to what God is showing you, He's going to bring you a balance where you can feel refreshed in all 3 things, and you're going to be a completely whole person. And I mean, things are still going to happen, and I'm not saying life is going to be perfect, but you're also going to know what triggers you when you need to actually slow down and rest and say no and have boundaries, when you actually should go out for a walk instead of sitting down and eating a bag of potato chips and stuff like that. You're actually going to know yourself, and it's actually going to further the people around you and just connections that you have there as well, and with God too. And then anyway, in this process of learning like how I went through the different like balances and learning about each thing individually and how I feel like it's kind of all coming together for me now. I'm like feeling pretty cool more than I have in my entire life. Just that when other people are excited about one thing specifically, like you could give them the same grace that you would wanted someone to give you. Like I feel like we're more just like, oh, they're all about that, and then you're tired of hearing about that from them. But it's like, you know what? That's might be what God is showing them right now, like how to take care of themselves and everything like that. We can actually give the same grace that you would want to receive for yourself. If someone's all like, I feel like for me, someone's all excited about one thing specifically, and I'm just like so tired of hearing about it for weeks. I'm like, you know what? I'm excited about stuff like that too. Like I do the same thing to people. Like I preach to them, and I'm like, dude, God showed me this. And it's like we need to give that same grace to other people and allow them to come into a balance of who they are as well, and just be there for them. Be like, you know what? I already learned this, and this is awesome, and show them where you're at as well. And it's just going to further every connection you have. I actually wrote down some things last night while we were sitting during worship, and I decided I was going to share them. Wow, I've only been talking for 10 minutes. That was way longer. Okay. It feels like a really long time when you're up here. Anyway, I just like wrote down some things, and I started like just kind of like, I don't know, I love inspiring people. I love re-inspiring quotes from other people. I love just like thinking that I'm doing the same for people around me as well. And I love just like reading something real where you're like, you know what? If you're feeling this way, that's okay. I've been there. You're gonna get through it, all this stuff. Anyway, so wrote a few things down I'm just gonna read for you guys. And I think I'm actually gonna be done. That's okay. All right, here we go. I'm gonna start this one actually. Oh, sorry. All right, it says, if you feel confused, you're not alone because everyone is walking through something and is also confused. You're not the first person to ask questions or scream and cry at God. All the answers and strengths that you are looking for are inside of you and who you are in Christ. And then I wrote, you are not dumb, you're not an outcast, you belong, your questions belong, your strengths and weaknesses belong, you belong right here, right now. Whatever moment you're going through is important. Your passion is important, your sadness is important, your joy is important, and you are important. Don't be afraid of the silence or the quiet. Even if you don't have a huge revelation, God still meets you there. The way you connect with God is powerful, your love language is powerful, your growth is powerful, your needs are powerful, and the way you love yourself and others is powerful. And then I wrote, you are in charge of your environment, you are a creator, you create and cultivate what you allow in your environment. It's kind of what I talked about a little bit earlier. Anyway, I think that's all I have actually. Did not take as long as I thought it was going to. Okay.
Does anyone have any questions about what she's talking about at all? Anybody just, like something just popping up, this is something she's processed for a while, so I just saying if there's something that you're thinking about, like, what about like this, or I don't know if there's a question you have or something, right now would be the time to ask it. Or if you'd like her to share into something that you're thinking, wow, I wish she would have shared more on that part. She will, I know, she's a Sensenig. She has no problem with that.
I think it would be helpful to know, I'm thinking back, and wow, I feel old thinking like this, but thinking back at when I was a youth and the things that I was learning, and sometimes when you would hear someone else speak, and you think, well, how do I apply that to myself? So what would be some tangible ways that you would give your peers to journey where you're journeying? That's
a really good question.
Leave it to the adults, but the hard
Yes,
one for you.
that's okay. That's okay. Actually for me, a lot of it started, actually I don't remember when, but I started, I don't remember when it was. Anyway, just the church that we were going to, and actually we still are going there. I started really focusing in on what people were preaching about and speaking about. I feel like that was always really hard for me to be like, okay, can I actually apply this to my life? And I would actually start just being like, you know what, this is so good. And when people would be like, hey, like, this book was really good for me, or I listened to this message, this isn't like the spiritual side of it, I would actually go and look that stuff up, or I'd be like, you know what, I'm gonna give it a try. I feel like so often I'd be like, oh, that sounds cool, but then I would just go and do my other thing that I was gonna do. And I actually started being very, very intentional with being like, I'm going to listen to this, I'm going to look into this. I'm actually gonna sit down today and read a few chapters. Like, even if you don't remember the words that you read in the Bible, God's still gonna speak to you. You're still gonna feel refreshed because you spent time with him alone. And then with the whole figuring out who I was, I took a personality test. I figured out what my love language was. And I started being like, just really being like, okay, why in this situation am I feeling anxious? Or like, why in this situation do I not, like, I don't feel good about this, or whatever. And not trying to be like, still have fun, or still be like, I mean, you still want to be nice to people, but not trying to force anything of how you're feeling. And just being like, and just going home and being like, okay, God, like, what was going on? Like, why was I feeling like this? And being like, you know what? I spent every night out tonight or this week with other people. Like, that's why I'm feeling anxious. I should have stayed home tonight. And just, even just with family, or just been by myself for a little while. And I just started actually, I guess I was just, main thing was like, I was very intentional with being like, you know what? This is what I need. And this is when I feel refreshed, and actually figuring out like what makes me want to go and do stuff with people, what makes me want to stay home. And actually, I just started saying no. Like, some weeks I would not hang out with anyone for like a week or two, and being like, you know what, like, it was good, but also like, okay, I'm ready to be around people now. Where are my boundaries with that? And just actually understanding like what was going on inside. And I spent a lot of quiet time, and it was really hard at first. Like, I was just like, oh, I want to go do something now. Like, sitting in silence, being by myself, it's not, like, it's actually one of my favorite things now. It was not then. And I love, like, I used to be very refreshed around people. And I feel like as a teenager, we all kind of are, because everyone, like, you don't want to miss out on anything. And I feel like people kind of look at you like, what are you doing if you're just like saying, no, I just want to be at home tonight. So, I don't know, I would just like encourage you guys to, whatever like situation you're around or people you're around, just actually trust whatever you're feeling inside, and being like, do I feel encouraged right now? Like, or do I feel shamed? What's going on inside of me? And actually just kind of like taking whatever you need every day, every week, and reevaluating, and being like, reevaluating what was going on with you, and kind of be like, okay, so this was not good, maybe I should spend less time doing this, and actually figuring out what's going on inside of you. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Very good.
Okay.
That's good.
Cool. Thank you.
Anyone else? Yeah. I thought that's a good question, Jeff. That's awesome. Anyone else? No question is a dumb question, by the way. The only dumb questions are the ones we don't ask. Okay, don't be afraid to ask a question. Okay, everybody good? Everybody get refreshed in body, soul, and spirit, right? Good job. Give her a hand. Amen. And one of the things, like Ronnie Wagler is our pastor at Crossfire, and one of the words that he had for us this year was intentional, and it so resonates so deep that we need to learn to be intentional. You can't just expect that one day you had a Holy Spirit movement, which is awesome. I love experiences with the Holy Spirit, that somehow your whole life is not going to change when you keep wanting to revert back to who you were, or something in the past, whatever. We have to be intentional to keep going forward. That is an intention that we need to have. And I just love how Jessica brought that out. It was intentional to actually take time to be quiet. It was intentional to start to focus on eating right, or whatever, everything. And she's intentional on making me eat right too now. So we're getting there, okay? Things keep happening. So it's a good thing, it really is. But intentional is very important. Because it's easy, like, I know Proverbs, like Solomon says, and I got that right, Solomon, yeah. In Proverbs says that, look to the ant, you sluggard. Now we can look at that really in a negative way, but to look at it in a positive way and say, if that ant isn't intentional, he's not going to make it through the winter. Like, you don't store up all summer. So looking at that is just simply a positive thing of being intentional and moving forward. Okay? All right, everybody stand up. Bands, it's right after lunch. Everybody stand up. And, sorry. Hands up. All right, hands up. Put them together like this. Now you go like this. Yeah. Get rid of them chicken nuggets. Come on, let's get rid of them chicken nuggets. Woo. Refreshed. Stretch. Bend over. There we go. Move around. All right. Now we're ready. And I think we're going to have Ryan and Jen come up and share with us. Ryan and Jen have 4 children, and I'll let them introduce themselves. But tell us a little bit about yourselves, like, too, with whatever. But they actually attend church here. By the way, I want to say if there's any young people looking for a place to plug in, you haven't found a place to plug in, Craig and Ryan and Jen, they would really, really look after you all. So I'm just saying, here's a good place to plug in if you want to. I'll put that in there.